To celebrate the successful landing of NASA's Perseverance rover and Ingenuity helicopter, let's take a drive through one of the best space movies of the past decade, Interstellar. Hello, and welcome to the Picture Cars video series, where I analyze the cars from different movies and their relationships to their characters. This video is going to focus solely on Cooper's pickup truck, the Ram 3500. Interstellar came out in 2014 and stars Matthew McConaughey, Anne Hathaway, Michael Caine, and Jessica Chastain. And this truck is actually the truck that inspired this video series entirely. I thought it was so smart that they had a character drive the newest, for the audience, truck which they, the production team, could beat up to make it look old for the future setting of the movie. And I wanted to talk about it with other people, but no one really seemed to care.
Boo! 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 Boo!
Anyway, let's pretend that you care, and let's get into it. This movie is set outside of time, for a lot of reasons, but what I mean specifically is that this movie doesn't have a defined time period, or locational setting, for that matter, so we have to make some assumptions. We can initially assume the location is somewhere in the Midwest during the years of the near future. The baseball game scene gives us the best clues for the time and location of the movie. Now, yes, they have that sign that says, "Welcome, the world-famous New York Yankees." But in the shot almost right after, they pan across a sign for the Rangers with what looks like a G coming right before it. And taking a look at the baseball caps on the heads of our family of main characters, it looks like the team they're rooting for are the Grangers, an assumedly fictional team. We can also assume this fictional team has been playing for generations, if you notice John Lithgow's weathered cap compared to Murphy's newer cap. Now, taking a look at the shot from the perspective of the outfield, the home dugout is full of green uniforms, so the Yankees are the away team. From that scene, we get some fantastic exposition, which is kind of fascinating when you compare it to Christopher Nolan's methods of exposition in Tenet, but Thomas Flight does a better job explaining that than me. We learn that it's been years since a hot dog was served at a baseball game.
I want a hot dog.
There's a stretched assumption of supply chain and how local agriculture is the only food available to the area, that major league teams now resort to playing on potentially high school fields if they aren't minor league fields, that sandstorms are common enough for people to leisurely walk from a stadium pulling out masks in their pockets. But I think we've established the vagueness of the film's timeline, so let's follow Cooper and his family into the truck for further analysis. The name for this truck is a mouthful, and the number of variants with trim options and whatnot, I'm going to simplify it later, but to spit it all out, it's the 2013 Dodge Ram 3500 Cummins Turbo Diesel. Easiest simplification, Dodge stopped being part of the name starting in 2010, and the brand officially was coined Ram Trucks. Now, some have called into question my ability to identify the model year and package of a vehicle after putting together my carefully researched videos. So let's identify the year first. It's 2013, because if we look at the roof of the cab of a 2012 and a 2013 model year 3500, we can see different SiriusXM antenna locations. So we know this is a 2013 model. Which makes sense because this movie's principal photography was in 2013 between August and December. We know it's the 3500 size because of the Cummins Turbo Diesel option. We know it's a Cummins package because those are the only options which had a manual 6-speed transmission. We know it's manual because Cooper was teaching young Murphy to shift at the beginning of the cornfield chase. So, hopefully y'all can believe me.
Shut up!
Now we've clarified the year and the package options of a movie vehicle, let's talk about the purpose of the video, which answers the question, is this the right vehicle for the character? That's really the question I hope to answer with every Picture Cars video, and so far the only time the answer was no was during my analysis for Wonder Woman's vehicles. I encourage you to check out that video if it tickles your fancy. So we've determined identity of the vehicle, now let's look at the owner's character. Cooper is an engineer turned farmer, so we have a couple of different background themes to look at. The easy one is the farmer background. As I've mentioned in another video, most farm owners have a 4x4 truck in some manner of used condition. The future timeline of Interstellar, in combination with the release of the movie, allows the 2013 truck to be the newest old vehicle possible. Now, as a farmer, you can pretty much cross out any chance of owning a mid-sized truck, like GM's Canyon or Colorado, the Tacoma, Frontier, or Ridgeline. The new model Ranger wasn't released until 2019 anyway, which leaves our only options for Cooper, and really any farm owner, to be the F-150, Silverado, Sierra, Tundra, Ram, and Titan. Actually, let's knock the Titan off altogether. Fun fact, I actually interned with Nissan for a summer. But the Titan isn't really comparable. And there's another qualifier we need to look at, the peak towing capacity of the larger versions. While Titan has the XD version, Ford's F450, GM's 3500 HD models, and Ram's 3500 models outclass the competition. The farm needs don't necessarily require the F450 level of truck, so we can whittle our options to the F250, F350, Silverado HD, Ram 2500, and Ram 3500. And real quick, it must be said that Cooper doesn't really require a heavy-duty truck, but taking this essay on a side quest to discuss this might be too much. Here's what I can say. Cooper's tractors are automated for the most part, so the work he is doing is largely assumed to be by himself. He seemingly has a few farm hands, but taking the brunt of the workload means that subconsciously he could be thinking he needs that larger truck. Anyway, back to whittling down the list of truck options for this movie. As you may have noticed, I knocked out the GMC Sierra as well, since the GMC brand is marketed more toward the luxury truck/SUV owner. They're nice trucks, but only ones which would rarely be found in combination with crop and field. They're there. Take a drive through the Midwest and you'll see a Sierra on a farm, but Coop and his surrounding farms have been down on their luck for a while. I don't imagine they'd be wasting money on a luxury model. 5 options remain. In the comments you might find a couple more I neglected to mention, but I neglected them on purpose. To narrow it down more, let's turn our attention to his previous experience as an engineer. He was selected as an astronaut, so he's kind of a big deal. We can assume aerospace engineer because of this, but Josh, there are so many astronauts who aren't aerospace engineers. Yes, I know, just wait. The assumption also comes from the principal's comment during the parent-teacher conference for Murphy.
We didn't run out of television screens and planes. We ran out of food.
Maybe a comment that is intended to hit closer to home? He was also able to, a little unrealistically, hack into another country's drone from the laptop in his farm truck, so maybe a controls engineer within the aerospace industry? There's a lot of conjecture here, but until Christopher Nolan provides comment, this is the knowledge we're going to work with. So let's look at this truck from an aerospace engineer's viewpoint and look at the coefficient of drag, or its aerodynamics. FCA, which is now Stellantis, has said the 4th generation, which is the model that we're talking about, has the best-in-class coefficient of drag at 0.36. They've said Ram 1500 went under extensive wind tunnel testing to hone exterior shape. And since truck shape is similar for every brand's heavy-duty upgrade, we can assume their claim extends to having the best-in-class for any heavy-duty truck as well. Silverado's claimed coefficient is 0.41, and the Tundra is at 0.37 or 0.38, depending on the drive type. Ford hasn't presented a coefficient, but one can only assume that if it were better, they'd be willing to release it, especially after upgrading to a new generation model. But let's go back to the supposed job title for Cooper's aerospace engineer. There's a lot of speculation on that part, but we can also gather his work was either in an interest in or knowledge of the hardware and automation side of engineering. Why this is valuable knowledge is because I can glean that technology options would be important to him. There's something to be said about having the base model tradesman trim level or whatever the automaker calls it, but sometimes you want a little bit more, and that's okay. So let's take a look at our 5 2013 options. Now, for the most part, you can transfer the trim levels from the heavily marketed F-150 to the F-250 and 350. You can still get an XL, XLT, Lariat, etc. So how would we even go about discerning what had the better base technology package? Now, for 2013 specifically, Ram bumped up its infotainment system to the Uconnect 3.0. MyLink, or infotainment system number, for Chevy was released in 2011, and so not necessarily new at the time. Ford's sync system of the day was Sync 1 and had just shifted to MyTouch and was going through a bit of an identity crisis itself. I talk about this a little bit in my video about the Accountant's F-150, so go check that out if you'd like. So once again, Ram had the best handle on its infotainment system. The combination of having the objective best infotainment system and lowest drag coefficient must have been enough to sell Cooper on the Ram 3500. And there are so many bells and whistles a good salesperson could pick up on, but we're going to leave it at that for now. So let's try to answer the question. Is this the right vehicle for the character? Yes, without a doubt. Is it perfect? That may be debatable, but I think you'd be hard-pressed to argue that this truck doesn't satisfy Cooper's work needs. We actually named our daughter Murphy, after Jessica Chastain, Mackenzie Foy, Ellen Burstyn's character, so this movie means a lot to me and my wife. We were moved by her character, and it always hurts my heart when she asks Cooper to stay.
Make him stay, Merv. Don't let me leave, Merv.
But that's okay. I'm not crying. You're crying. This movie intelligently implemented its cars, and Christopher Nolan in general is very specific when using cars in his movies. Two-Face's coin toss in the back of the mobster's car in The Dark Knight, Tenet's inverted car chase in Another Country, but this movie's cars get overlooked because of the focus on space and how deep the relative science goes. There are only a few car scenes, the cornfield chase and the leaving town scene, that we have from Jessica Chastain and Topher Grace's character perspective. And in that scene, safely in their 2013 Jeep Wrangler, we get more than the FCA cars with a few F-150s and the lone Bronco. But even then, it represents a rural town down on its luck while still in need of off-road capability. These are normal characters with normal cars. So in Interstellar, when we look at each character and their mode of transportation, is this the right vehicle for the character? Yes. Thanks for watching. I'm being real. I have a lot of fun making these videos. If you have another car you'd like me to analyze and maybe overanalyze, let me know below. Hit the like button and make sure to subscribe because there's more content coming your way. If you feel so inclined, check out the link to my Patreon in the description. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
You told me to keep driving.